Welcome to our road trip series, where my cousin Chloe and I spend the entire month of August driving from Southern Ontario to Vancouver Island and back, in a broken down car and living out of a tent. Buckle up! As a little background, before our trip, I had my mechanic take a look at the car and make sure it was good to go. Then, the night before we left, my neighbor looked at the car and found some things that the mechanic didn't. Quickly fixed them, and we were off. Day 2 of our 30-day road trip, the engine light, which was on before, which was fine, started flashing, which wasn't fine, and the car started making this sound. So, being in the middle of nowhere in Northern Ontario, we continued driving for a few hundred kilometers with the engine light flashing to the closest Honda dealership in Thunder Bay. They replaced our spark plugs and told us we were good to go, so we were off to the races. We spent a beautiful day exploring the city of Winnipeg and then explored the gorgeous Riding Mountain National Park. Then, as we pulled into our campsite that night, our car stalled. We called a towing company the next morning after a very stressful and windy night in the tent. And they gave us a new battery, and we were again off to the races until the first red light came and our battery light was on. After calling all the men on our contact lists, we learned that our alternator was broken, which meant that our battery wasn't charging unless we were actively driving foot on the gas. So we kept driving and called every single mechanic in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, but it was harvesting season, and apparently every prairie mechanic is also a part-time farmer, so no one could help us. We decided that we just wanted to keep driving and get to our family in BC and deal with the car there, where we could drop the car off at a dealership and be with family so we weren't stranded without a vehicle and anywhere to go.
No AC, 13 hours, gotta save that battery. No AC, no radio, no blinkering, and no idling, no stops.
Minimal blinker usage.
Yeah, and no light, no using the lights at all, so.
Yeah, absolutely no braking at all, just happening everywhere.
No braking. Braking uses the lights, which uses electricity, which uses the battery. Fun.
Everybody needs to stop body shaming the prairie.
They're not that flat. That's a hill. We made it to Calgary! Woohoo! We learned a thing. Well, we thought of it. Nobody taught us. Like, Chloe just thought of it because she's a freaking genius. Whenever the battery light goes on, it's whenever we're at a stop sign or a stoplight. But if we put it into park and then rev the engine, like as if we're trying to race the person beside us.
As if we're the biggest douchebags in the world.
Yeah. As if like we're the Ontario douchebags that come and rev their engines. The battery light turns off because it's charging so like we're good. We made it.
To avoid off-roading too much to our planned campsites, we stayed in hotels in Regina and then Calgary. Drove through 2 or 3 active forest fires. They're like pouring water all over, but that forest was just on fire. Okay.
Indeed. That's like right next to that.
And finally landed in Vernon, BC, where we had family graciously take us in. We showered, we ate, we played games, and then a forest fire came, a little too close for comfort. So we evacuated to another family member's home, where we felt as safe as one can feel when the sky is red and on fire. And then it rained. Our car was fixed for good, and the true adventure of our trip could finally begin.